Hey guys, Fire here, bringing you another game review. This time we're checking out SAPU. This game is developed and published by Games and is currently available in the Xbox Store for a price of $10. So let's talk about this platformer game, and I'll kind of share my thoughts. If you guys have watched a lot of my videos that I've made in the past, you guys know I love platformer games, and for me, SAPU might be the platformer that disappoints me the most. It's not the lack of content or just the amount of levels that the game has to offer, but it's how poorly executed this game was made when it comes to the controls for the game. So when you are playing this game, and it's going to be a little hard to kind of show you guys on screen here, but you have to kind of hopefully trust me a little bit, but a lot of the controls in this game are very unresponsive. So if you can see there when I'm jumping and it just stops in midair, I'm not stopping, or when I'm moving around, the game has such, I guess, sensitive analog and D-pad controls that you can't really do much about, that it makes the game kind of unplayable. So let's talk a little bit about the game first, and then we'll kind of revert back to this. So you start out in levels, and basically you're going to gain an achievement for completing out the levels, but you're also going to gain achievements for collecting all the little bees that float around in the world. You can see how many are up top, and as you collect them all, you are able to then get to the end of the level. Now, that wouldn't be so difficult, you know, since the game has checkpoints that you can kind of collect and hit along the way. But for some reason, when they designed in the checkpoints do not save your progress whatsoever when it comes to the amount of the bees you've collected. And I'll show you here in just a second what I mean. If you look, we've collected 3 bees, but if I go here and die, I go back to having no bees, and I'm at this little checkpoint. So if you are somebody who wants to try to get all the achievements in this game, you're going to have to beat every level in this game without dying. Now, that's not something, like I said, normally would be hard if it wasn't for just the difficulty that's presented with the controls in this game, or the kind of randomness with how some of the enemies are. I'm going to skip here to a little bit of a later stage, because I want to show you what I mean with some of the randomness of some of the enemies. So there's going to be these kind of plant enemies that you're going to encounter, and we'll try to show you one here in just a second. Actually, you can see over there's that purple enemy that's kind of like a flower thing that'll kind of attack you. But there's also other ones that spawn in certain levels that don't necessarily give you an option to defeat them, but then other ones that have the exact same layout, you can jump on them and defeat them. So it becomes an additional kind of technical issue with the game, in the sense that you can't also go through this game and really beat it with, you know, the notion that because I've defeated one of these enemies in the past, that I can go through and defeat it again. Because it's just kind of the unrelenting setup of the controls. And even when you're doing things like your little boost here, there's going to be times where it just stops part of the way through, and you don't have any control how to do that. And this gets especially frustrating as you get into like some of these later levels, where, you know, things like timing and sequences. As you can see, this should be an enemy I can jump on, but I can't kill it. But in other levels, I can kill it. So it just builds into some of the frustration that SAPU has with some of the just general inconsistencies that the game kind of presents. Don't get me wrong, you can go here and get all the gamer score. There's an initial 1,000, and then they added some more as well. So all the achievements are doable, but for a game that comes in at $10 and really shouldn't have insanely difficult achievement demands, it instantly just becomes something that's far worse than what you probably would have imagined, because of just the inconsistencies with the controls and the inconsistencies with some of the enemies that you encounter in the game. And that just builds up a lot of frustration, and when you're playing, it just I don't know, it just makes it really annoying to not have a reliable system of the game as you could go through these 25 levels. If that stuff wasn't a factor, or even if the checkpoints worked properly, that would take a large amount of the negativity out of the game. Now, there's also an attack mode, which basically just has you going through the full 25 levels and trying to best all your time or doing various other stages. But I'll be honest with you, it's not really worth going after because you're just going to frustrate yourself more and more as you play through all 25 of these stages, and you don't get anything. Like, the game has no incentive, there's no achievements encouraging anything. Maybe they'll add something in the future. Hopefully the first thing they add in the future, though, is maybe just some fixes to make the controls and stuff just more reliable and more responsive for this game. But that's my overall thoughts for SAPU. I honestly can't recommend this game unless you just kind of want to give yourself some pain and torture. Now, if they do go through and can kind of do some enhancements to controls, make the game feel more responsive, and make the controls actually work the way they're kind of intended. Like, you see, my guy won't even grab the walls here, despite I'm holding against the walls. So it's just little things that the game starts to build on your early frustrations, and I found myself so many times just stopping the game, and then I'd come back, and a level that should take me 5-6 minutes to do would take me so much, like maybe 30-40 minutes of just annoyance and frustration. So I can't really recommend SAPU at all, unless, like I said, you just really want to cause yourself some pain and torture, which, you know, maybe you will. If you guys did enjoy my review, I'd appreciate you consider hitting that subscribe button. Let me know what you think down below in the comments, and like I said, if you did like it, hit that thumbs up button, and maybe consider checking out one of the other 2 videos that should be on your screen now. Outside of that, I hope you have a blessed rest of your day, and I'll catch you next time. We're going to go ahead and end the pain here.